You've probably heard how the Library of Alexandria died. One catastrophic fire, the greatest collection of ancient knowledge lost in a single afternoon. That's the version everyone knows. It's also not what happened. The real story is slower, stranger, and took nearly 500 years to finish. Founded in the early 3rd century BCE under the Ptolemaic dynasty, the Library of Alexandria was built on an audacious idea: collect a copy of every book in the known world. Ships docking in Alexandria's harbour were required by royal decree to surrender any scrolls on board to be copied. The originals often kept, copies returned. At its height, estimates suggest the library held somewhere between 200,000 and 700,000 scrolls. This wasn't just a warehouse of texts. It was the greatest research institution of the ancient world. Eratosthenes calculated the Earth's circumference here, using nothing but shadows and geometry, and landed within a few % of the true answer. Euclid may have taught here. Scholars from across the Mediterranean came to study, argue, and copy.
Let A and B be the extremities of a straight line. We shall now demonstrate the properties of this figure.
The first real damage came almost by accident. In 48 BCE, Julius Caesar, besieged in Alexandria's harbour,
the water is on
ordered
fire!
enemy ships burned to deny them to his opponents. The fire spread to the docks, and by most ancient accounts, to warehouses storing scrolls near the harbour, not the main library building itself. It was a real loss. It was not the ending. What actually killed the library wasn't a single event. It was centuries of neglect, Roman-era funding cuts. Political instability, scholars drifting away as royal patronage dried up. By the 3rd century CE, the library many people picture from its golden age had already been shrinking for generations, understaffed and under-resourced.
Pull it down!
In 391 CE, a mob incited by local authorities destroyed the Serapeum.
Cleanse this city of the unbelievers! Let their false idols burn to ashes!
This is a real, well-documented destruction tied to the political upheaval
The daughter collection of the Serapeum, the final repository of ancient wisdom, now turns to dust and silent ash.
Then there's the version most people actually believe, that a conquering army burned the library in 641 CE on the order of a ruling commander, supposedly declaring that any book agreeing with what they already believed was unnecessary and any book disagreeing was dangerous. Here's the problem. This story doesn't appear in any source for another 500 years. Most historians today treat it as a later legend, likely political propaganda from a much later era,
but kept alive by a few. For centuries, it existed only in spoken word. Now, for the first time, it was committed to history. Here, the knowledge of the ancient world once thrived. Now, only the wind remains, with nothing left to burn. What once was the world's greatest archive now lies in ruins, deserted and forgotten for centuries.
So, what really happened to the knowledge? Some was destroyed in the Caesar fire and the Serapeum's fall, but an enormous amount was simply never copied again. Scrolls decayed, were never digitized in any equivalent sense, and vanished, not in flame, but in silence, one uncopied manuscript at a time. Not everything was lost forever. Centuries later, in Baghdad, scholars at the House of Wisdom translated and preserved Greek, philosophical, and scientific texts, some of which likely trace back to works that passed through Alexandria's orbit. Knowledge that seemed gone survived, just relocated, translated, retold. In 2002, Egypt opened the Bibliotheca Alexandrina on the same waterfront, a deliberate act of cultural memory, built not to recreate what was lost, but to insist that the idea behind it, a place where all knowledge is gathered and shared, was worth trying again. The Library of Alexandria didn't die in a single afternoon. It died the way most things actually die. Slowly, in pieces, over centuries, until one day, it simply wasn't there anymore. If you want more history told the way it actually happened, subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.
When